Everybody, welcome to the podcast, selling to the CIO.com. I'm excited to be doing the first podcast actually back in my office, which opened up a couple weeks ago. So this is exciting. And to kick that off, I have a friend and longtime customer, John Kalina. John, how you doing?
Good, David. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you. Looks like you're not back in the office yet. Looks like you're at home still. So.
Yeah, I'm nursing an injury, but prior to this,
Yeah.
I have been back in the office pretty much full time
Okay.
since about February or so.
Oh, awesome. All right. Hey, if you wouldn't mind, I think you know the gist of what we're trying to accomplish here, trying to educate folks on how to do things better when it comes to the sales cycle and dealing with leadership, trying to get, move forward. And you have a unique perspective coming from kind of both sides of the house. So if you wouldn't mind doing a quick intro and kind of what you're up to these days, that would be awesome.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm John Kalina. I'm Vice President of Administrative Services for Independence Blue Cross. And that I have responsibility for all of our procurement, real estate, facilities, vendor management, accounts payable, and physical security.
All right. And prior to that,
I spent the first couple of years at Blue Cross in an IT business management role. So I had responsibility for the vendor management within the IT, as well as some other kind of IT functions within the group.
And I know prior to that, you were at another.
Yeah, prior to that, I was at TIAA, CREF, and Cigna for probably combined 20 years and various finance roles.
Gotcha.
Through that time.
So I know in your position, what we found is that, your role, especially in the purchasing part of the realm of bigger companies, there's a lot more influence, right? It used to be the IT guys can make the decision and kind of force feed, I want to buy from this partner or this this product. But, I've seen it, right, where the purchasing folks have, a lot more juice and they're really doing their due diligence and helping the business make intelligent decisions when it comes to procuring whatever it is, in this case, technology. So I'd love to get, your perspective, because you're getting, even in your prior roles, in this role, you're just getting whammed all the time, I would imagine, from sales folks like myself and my team and everybody else out there. It'd be great to get your perspective on, what the landscape is these days, what you see drives you crazy, and some of the techniques potentially that work and that you appreciate.
Yeah,
selling IT.
Especially on the IT side, it's, I would say it's unique to come to me in procurement with an IT solution. And I can't tell you how many emails and phone calls I get directly to me trying to sell IT solutions to IBC.
Yeah.
And I'm like, one, I don't even respond to them because, I don't know why they're coming to me. They should be going to IT. I mean, we're talking new solutions that we might not be using or new products. And like, I think the biggest downfall is there's salesmen just tend to, I guess it's a scattershot approach to it and just must email everyone out there. Because, like, in all honesty, I look at them and I don't even forward them off because I just get so many of them. And and to me, I don't want to do the salesman's work. Or salesperson's work. If, they shouldn't be coming, they should be doing the research on their own to find out who's in charge of provider at our company to come up with it, to try to offer a solution and not come to me and say, hey, I got a solution for you. It's like, well, great. Which one of the other 150 emails I got today from sales, sales folks that I don't know or don't even know what they're trying to sell. And I can tell you personally, to me, the email approach, I can tell you in the last 10 years, I bought one thing from an email. Like, you don't even typically read them past the first line or two. But there was the one case that came through just happened to be a hot topic, and something came through that we almost weren't even looking for, but it hit something we had just happened to been talking about like the week before that I decided to, hey, let me read this. And we actually ended up making the purchase there. But I think trying to just do cold calling through email is just not, to me, is a waste of time. You have to get, a hold of the right person, and you need to. And even now, good luck trying to call anybody because no one's sitting at their desks anymore. But you need to somehow make a connection with that person to be able to sell something. And it's just, to me, it's about building a relationship and, understanding what we need and how your product or service can fit into that.
Yeah, no, no, listen, it's tough. A lot, you're right. And a lot of, even on my team in our marketing department, right, we have these built lists of emails and we throw
Yeah.
so much shit against the wall and we kind of see what sticks. And like you said, maybe you get lucky, right? Maybe you have that hot topic that you're like, well, like you said,
Right.
1 in 10 years, right? So it's very difficult, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we've tried to done some other tactics, right? There's all these AI tools that are helping, prospect and really dig deep into the company and, like you said, try to find out who is really responsible for making the decision, right? So,
Right.
but getting to the people's heart, right? So,
Yeah.
um, you know, what have you seen work? I know the relationship piece works. I mean, what kind of things are you participating in these days? I mean,
Yeah. One
you're
of the, let me tell you something that doesn't work is
yeah.
throwing somebody else's name out there when they call you. It's like, oh, I talked to so and so. They said I should call to you because you guys need this. And look, I get that because I will refer people to other folks. And usually if I do that, I'll send a courtesy note to them saying, hey, I just spoke to so and so.
Right.
I asked them to reach out to you. Just want to let you know that, yeah, it is legit. But anytime someone ever says that to me, the first thing I do is shoot a note to that person and say, hey, is this legit? Like, did they talk to you? And I can't tell you how many times people have been and said no. Or, or they're putting the email, we've done work with you guys, in the past. And I'll go out and look at the last, 8-9 years of spend and, we didn't do anything with them. So, there's a lot of, maybe fibbing of the truth a little bit. Like, maybe they found someone there and they said, no, like you need to talk to somebody else. And then they found my name. But, being truthful and honest, like, because right away, if I find out you lied, I'm done with you. Like, I'm not going to bother,
There's
building any sort of relationship with you or even looking at it.
there's a lot of it, right? And there's a lot of that goes on, right?
Oh
Where
yeah,
I spoke to your CEO. He suggested I give you a call, and it's just bullshit, right? And then
right,
what you're doing is pissing off somebody like yourself, who's then going to tell another person, is going to go whisper down the lane, and then you're going to be blackballed from that potential customer for a long
right.
time, right? It just doesn't work. You gotta find a meaningful way, like you said, to get to somebody who has a decision and be honest, right? We always talk about
Yeah,
that. Like just be upfront, right?
right.
This is a process, right? So
Another
yeah,
thing is
that's
if you
good
say,
advice.
if you do tell them no, we don't have a need, because like, we have some, suppliers that we've been with for a while that, we're happy with, we're competitive with, yet they'll come and say, oh, we have something we can offer you. And we'll just tell them, hey, we don't really have a need, or, we have a contract that's going out a couple of years and we'll revisit it, then you find out they go over your head and go to somebody else, like the CEO or CFO. And then, they won't say, hey, we were told no, but they'll say, hey, I got a great service for you. You really should have this. And then it comes back down from their office to take a look at as a courtesy. And it's like, well, we already told you. Like
Yeah,
now you're doubling my work. And we're here to help everybody out. Like, our goal is not to say no all the time. People think we do, but that's not necessarily our goal. And I I really feel for the sales side of the house in the difficulty of it. And like I just couldn't imagine having to daily, taking rejection like that and constantly like pushing and the deadlines and and then the other thing I always try to tell the salesman, like, hey, you guys have a deadline, but we don't necessarily.
yeah,
And I know you have to hit your quarterly number, but there's no way in order to get this contract done that we're going to get that done in the next 2 weeks. Like, just, you're not the only one out there that's got the same situation, especially buying a new product. We have other things that might be expiring, and especially come year end, there's so many different things going on. And I know the price is right at those points, but it's not an urgent piece to us. And if you're going to call me 30-40 times a day to see where it stands, like, it's, you're not helping your
and
case.
listen,
So,
exactly. I tell the sales team, listen, you're gonna get a lot of no's. Every no's closer to a yes. You just got to
right.
keep. You're gonna get a lot of no's in your career. Listen, I've been
Yeah.
doing this for a long time, and it's the no's certainly outweigh the yeses, but listen, we've got to keep at it. You got to do it the right way, like you said. You got to be sensitive. Listen, I truly appreciate the sympathy you have for salespeople
Yeah.
because you've been dealing with it. It's not an easy job by any means, but
Yeah.
you got to understand, right? You're not the only one they're dealing with, and there's other priorities, and your thing's not the most important. If it's that important, you really need to set those expectations up front early in the process, not 2 weeks when there's left, and oh
Right.
God, I need this signed, and then you're getting 100 calls a day. It's just not the way to go about it. You have to prepare better than that.
And I will
What
tend to tell people right away, like, this is not, they'll put the price is valid through this date. And I
right?
said, well, we're not hitting that. Like, well, it's 3 weeks. I said, we're not hitting that. Like, this got to go through various potential committees and between back and forth with us and legal and the business. I've seen enough contracts that nothing gets done in, that short of a time. And, you're assuming everyone's going to drop everything they have to get that done. And everyone's got multiple balls in the air. So,
Yeah.
having reasonable expectations, we know you guys have deadlines, but, that's not the only deal
Yep.
we're working on.
And to me, it's lay them out in the beginning, right? As you're going through the process, you set expectations up front. It's a lot easier to have those discussions than it is, when there's a week left in the quarter and you're begging for the PO. It that doesn't go well. It leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth, right? So, John, with the time we have left, and you can give a good perspective on this. A lot of sales folks, especially in the technology, they spend a lot of time selling to the business, which is important. Obviously, your job in a lot of cases is to support the business, right? But I think the purchasing, what you run there, has become more important than ever to making sure that you're cultivating the right relationships in the purchasing department, particularly, right? Because these are the folks that are doing a lot of the heavy lifting to get the contract signed, right? So.
Right.
Give me your perspective on, what your thought is. What do you see sales reps do wrong? Can you validate that your team is really, they're really important piece of the puzzle these days to get stuff
Because
done.
I'd say the procurement teams definitely are, because they're help shepherding it through the process.
Yeah.
So, every time, especially in the IT contracting with our industry, you're dealing with the basic contract in general. Then you got to deal with the business associate agreement. You've got all sorts of now data security languages in it. So there's different committees involved. So, if you don't agree to our terms on insurance or liability, it goes to a risk committee. It's got to be reviewed by folks in privacy for the BAA, folks in data security on that side. There's a lot of pieces moving to try to get a contract done that tries to go parallel, but they go parallel to an extent. But you got to gather, kind of corral all these horses together to get it finalized. And, building the right relationship with the procurement team, at least you can get someone that answers you honestly where things stand. And
Yeah.
like, what, this isn't going to happen today. I still am waiting to hear from these 3 people, and then we get it back to our legal, and then we can turn it over to you. So building that right relationship, like, again, it gets to the point, like, don't want to completely annoy them with asking them every 10 minutes. I'll tell people, like, look, I don't have an update, and as soon as I have one, I will give you a call and let you know. Like, just don't keep asking, but as soon as I get an update, even if it's after hours, I'll let you know where it stands. I know it's critical, but I think building that relationship is something key, because and not even from, we don't make, and what I try to tell people is, in my department, we buy virtually nothing. So, if you're like, we'll run the vendor management program for all of our staffing services. I don't use any of those staffing services. So we kind of put the data and the knowledge together and the tools together to manage the program. But I don't pick what vendors we use. I go to the business partners who are working with these people on a day-to-day basis, getting resources on who, and here's the facts of who's sent in resumes for jobs. But I don't make that decision. It's really the business area has to decide who they want to partner with and who they want to use. So, you can ask me a bunch of questions and push for me to have you added, but you really, if you're in there and you're not producing, I might like you as a salesperson, but if you're not producing, you're not gonna stay in there. So it's sort of that fine line of, I don't pick the technology. If we do an RFP, look at different types of technology, my team's not deciding that. It's going to come down to the business team that makes that ultimate decision. We look at the terms that were in that RFP, and we can help guide them and say, hey, they're going to agree to these three things. This company's not, and then help guide them to say and present it back to them through the RFP of it's not just price always, but there could be other factors in there. And here's all those other factors that we're able to gather to help them make that final decision.
Yeah, but like you said prior to, like you can make the sale and you can convince the business that your solution is the right solution. But if you don't have terms in place already with, in your case, Independence Blue Cross, you've only done, half the selling. Now you got to get this, like you said, the contract through, the term signed. You got to negotiate with purchasing potentially. We're almost against it. But I want to ask you a question. I don't know if this is a myth or not, but I always listen, you got to save a little bit of that, when you're doing some pricing negotiations,
Right.
Save a little bit for the purchasing folks, right? Because their job is to, they're going to try to beat you up a little bit. They're going to try to save the business additional money. Is that a true statement, or
what
do you tell your folks? Do you tell you want to squeeze the vendor a little bit more?
We always want to squeeze as much as we can out. We do track our metrics on how much we save for the company through the the end-to-end procurement process. So obviously the more we save, the better we look. So we do always push, and I'd say that's an unofficial little procurement tool out there of always ask for more. And I always just tell the team it can't hurt. Say, hey, I need a little bit more, and we can get this thing done. And there always is that little bit of extra. You're right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always tell them, listen, just expect this, right? Your negotiation's not done. You think that you have it done.
Right.
Some of these savaging purchasing guys, even on your team, they've been doing this a long time. They know they know in a software agreement there's going to be some additional money out there, right? You're selling licenses, right? And they're going to try to get that extra 5 points. And listen, they like you said, it's a metric. Say, hey, listen, I just saved the company $1 million over this last year by just asking, right? So I think the savvy sales folks that have been doing this for a long time, they'll maybe put a little extra aside and know that when it gets to your piece, that hey, and listen, if they get a win, it's a win-win-win, right? It's a win for them. It's a win for the sales folks. It's a win for the company. And they'll help you get it pushed through a little bit quicker if they know you made them look good potentially. So
and we don't handle rejection well like the sales folks. So we always want the yes.
Exactly. Yeah. So John, this is great. Now this is a quick. I know time goes fast. You could probably talk all day about this because you've been at this for a long time, like myself. But listen, I appreciate your business and your friendship over the years. You've been awesome to work with. I love working with you, and I appreciate you doing this and giving us some insight today. So thanks a lot.
No problem. Thank you very much.
And get that foot healed up ASAP so you can enjoy the rest of the summer.
I will.
All right. Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
All right. See ya.
Take care.